Welcome to this week's Eternal Monday, where the demon of the Eternal format, Dragapult Ex, takes on Articuno Lock. This game comes from the September 2024 in real life Eternal format event that took place at Dragon's Lair at Alamo Ranch, here in San Antonio, Texas. If you're new here, you might be wondering what the Eternal format even is. In short, it's the unlimited format with a ban list. This means that deck builders can venture all the way back to the very start of the Pokemon trading card game and make use of cards that aren't legal in the official standard or even the expanded format. This large card pool creates an exciting and fun, rich deck building experience that can be endlessly enjoyable for all types of players of the Pokemon trading card game. From the most skilled to the newest of new, from the biggest tryhard to the kitchen table champion, the Eternal format has something for everyone. Unsure where to get started? I've got a getting started video on this very YouTube channel that is a great crash course for how to get into the format. Additionally, there is now a page on justinbasil.com that features a wide variety of decks for the Eternal format. Both this page and the getting started video are linked in this video's description. Now, on to today's game. All right, as our players are getting set up here, just want to highlight that these two players did play each other during one of the 4 rounds of Swiss for this tournament here. I can't remember who won, actually. I do remember that neither player saw the big cool tech card that happens to work against their opponent. So at certain points during this game, both players are going to be like, wait, what? You have that? And you're going to, especially from the Dragapult player side, you're going to see a degree of frustration, to put it kindly. So we're going to see some really fun gameplay between these two. Again, they did see each other in Swiss, but they did not get to see the full brunt of both of their decks as they were playing each other in Swiss. At this point, we do have Dragapult more or less set up on the other side here. We have double Baltoy, double Dreepy down. We have a double Dragon Energy on that active Dreepy. I'm kind of just hoping that the Articuno Lock player has some sort of disruption on that energy, but as I recall, there are no energy disruption cards in this particular deck except perhaps Faba, which is not really a card you want to be playing on turn 1, unfortunately. Faba will loss zone that special energy, but again, not something you want to do turn 1. You want to be setting yourself up. Here we have a Ditto with that form variation, Pokepower, and an Oddish, as well as a Rotom V. Rotom V going to get that Forest Sealstone just to be able to get whichever card out of the deck. We do see a Buddy Buddy Poffin, which I'm assuming is the result of that Forest Sealstone. Gonna go just straight in and grab a Duskull and probably an Oddish. Or maybe they're gonna go for another Duskull. This would be interesting. I can't remember what they played here. Oh, it looks like a Baltoy. That actually makes perfect sense. You want to get those consistency cards out if you can. So Baltoy and Duskull, good picks. We do have that poor Oddish in the active spot, but that Ditto can bring it back once it gets knocked out because you know it's going to get knocked out. There is a bit of concern, though, of course, with Dragapult and its damage spread ability that it will cause some issues, especially for that Ditto on the bench. But we shall see. I think that's going to be a pass over to the Dragapult. Yep. Not quite a pass, but there is going to be a charge there from the Rotom. We do see an immediate rare candy into Dragapult EX on the Dragapult side and an evolution incense for Claydol. Claydol going to be that extremely good draw power for our Dragapult player. Both players, of course, choosing to take advantage of the Claydol in their decks here. You see that you see that Baltoy on the side of the Articuno Lock player, even though it's not yet evolved into Claydol. Buddy Buddy Poffin going to find probably another Dreepy. I do see a Dreepy being floated to the front there. Makes perfect sense. Choosing to fail it instead. Interesting. Choosing not to play down the Dreepy off of Buddy Buddy Poffin. That is a choice. That is a choice. Especially because there is item lock on the opponent's side, so I guess they're just trying to thin it out of the hand. They have a Dreepy in the hand that they're playing down, so the one in the deck is just going to stay there. Oh, okay. Oh, maybe not. Perhaps they were going for something else. I thought at one point they were perhaps going to play down that Tapu Lele to search for a support card, but looks like they've chosen not to. They put it down to the bottom of the deck with the... Sure, we're going to get the Lele back out with Mysterious Treasure. We're just going to burn cards in hand. I guess they're trying to nuke whatever items they can out before that Oddish becomes a Vileplume, although they are going to knock that particular Oddish out anyway. And that form variation Ditto is also gone thanks to the damage counter spread on the Dragapult. We do see a Claydol come down, another Oddish once again coming down. There is no Articuno in play, which is a little concerning, and there's a manual attachment on the active Rotom, which is unfortunate. Not really where you want to see an attachment for Articuno Lock, but it does give you the opportunity to get an energy in the discard pile if you manually retreat that active Rotom V, which could be good for the deck's copy of Aqua Patch. Aqua Patch going to be an item card that lets you attach a water energy from your discard pile to one of your benched water Pokemon. So once Articuno comes down, that would be a way to get some energy onto it. Twins getting a couple cards, as currently this player is behind on cards. That Artisan most likely finding Articuno. Articuno going to be pulled out right now. Get it ready to attack. There's our Articuno from Silver Tempests. Has that attack that does 70 damage and then 50 to itself while paralyzing the opponent. We do see a... Ooh. I believe that's the Vivid Voltage. That is the Vivid Voltage Dusknoir there. That's going to be the one that shuts off special energy cards, just like Temple of Sinnoh, and is turning that special energy on that Dragapult EX into just a single colorless energy, causing our player here to have to figure something out. Because at this point now they have not much going for what they need here. So they're going to draw a couple cards off these Dreepy and Claydol. Or off the Dracloak and Claydol, rather. See a Versus Seeker, another getting a Double Dragon energy, probably for one of those Dreepy on the bench. Gonna see that. Double Dragon energy at this point is just a single colorless energy. So that's something to be aware of. Rather. See a choice there being made for Claydol, putting a couple cards on the bottom of the deck. Just putting cards on the bottom of the deck, not able to draw any cards off of Claydol. Just dropping them out of the hand. Doing it again with the second Claydol to draw cards this time, getting 2 out of it. Going to be able to evolve the bench Dragapult, gussing up the benched Claydol on the opponent's side, trying to take it out. Unfortunately, that Dusknoir is still in play. So the only attack that's valid there is that first one, meaning that the Claydol's not knocked out. Dragapult can't quite do enough to knock it out because it can't use Phantom Dive. It doesn't have the energy required right now. And you can tell on the side of the Dragapult player that they are a little miffed that they missed that. Yeah, they're a little upset. They're a little upset that they missed the Dusknoir there. But, you know, it happens. It happens to the best of us when we miss things. So we do have to see some sort of play here on the side of our Articuno Lock player. We do see a manual attachment of a water energy on that Articuno. The water energy on the Rotom is still stuck there, though it didn't get manually retreated out. That Guzma actually might be messing him up a little bit because of that. I have to find some way to get that going. We do have an item lock in play now. Both players are no longer capable of playing item cards. That's going to block both of them from playing items. And we're just going to see a pass to the Dragapult player's side here. Dragapult going to have to do something, but can't play that Mysterious Treasure. They are item locked. They're going to go in for Arven. At this point, they can grab... Ooh, spicy. Technical Machine Devolution is an option here. Going to devolve all the opponent's Pokemon, which could actually be quite devastating. We do see Versus Seeker and Technical Machine Devolution. Technical Machine Devolution, the tech card that the Articuno Lock player did not know was in here at the time, or at least did not account for in their play. And I think this might be effectively the end of the game for them, because unfortunately they've burned a lot of resources at this point trying to get their deck going, get their deck running. They've got the lock in place on the Vileplume. They've got the lock in place on the Dusknoir, shutting off the energy. They don't yet have the Articuno set up. They don't yet have those damage counters flowing, but they're about to lose a lot because they've burned quite a few rare candies. That Dusknoir is going to go back to hand. That Vileplume is going to go back to hand. It's going to be very, very difficult to set this board state back up. Baltway being knocked out. Articuno going to the active spot. But unfortunately, this lock has lost its grip for This poor Articuno gonna struggle a little bit. And then what's crazy too is that Vileplume is now out of play, which means that Versus Seeker that our Dragapult player preloaded from the Arven this last turn is going to be able to get the Guzma out of the discard pile and just immediately use that to break a lock, which is unfortunate. Although we do see an INO on the Articuno Lock player side, so not all hope is lost. Do see an option, it looks like. Do have to wonder what we have left here on the Articuno side. We just need an energy attachment, I think. I see the Spectral Breach from, this is the Dusknoir from Vivid Voltage coming back out, looks like. I have to wonder if they're going to rare candy that back out or if they're just pulling it from the deck to thin it out. Gonna see a Claydol there. Drawing several cards. We do see an energy attachment. So Articuno is finally going to attack. That Dragapult will be paralyzed. We just have to see if Dragapult can get back out. not even. Literally, as I'm saying, let's see if we can get out of it. Guzma in hand. Ino was pushed into the hand by that Guzma was pushed in the hand by the Ino, and that's all she wrote. Articuno Lock just not able to deal with the sheer speed and consistency of Dragapult EX, which is crazy because Articuno Lock is very much a deck that on paper should have an amazing matchup against Dragapult. It has the locking capability. It shuts off those special energy. It item locks them. It's so powerful, but Dragapult is very clearly the best deck in format, very clearly an oppressive force currently, and it took the game. First, let's look at Dragapult EX. This list is pretty straightforward if you're at all familiar with the Eternal format. The basic premise is you have that Dragapult doing the damage to the active spot, putting those 6 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon. Your consistency engine is Claydol. No surprise there. Claydol is absolutely one of the best, if not the best, consistency engine in the Eternal format. You have Tapu Lele to help you find supporters, especially Lance Prism Star, which when one of your Pokemon was knocked out the previous turn, allows you to search your deck for a couple of Dragon-type Pokemon and put them directly on your bench. This means that you can put Dragapult EX directly on the bench after a knockout, which is absolutely stellar. Additionally, you have access to Double Dragon Energy so that you can power up your attack Phantom Dive in just one attachment, which also makes it incredibly easy to get Dragapult out and attacking really quickly. And then finally, you have cards like Technical Machine Devolution and Muscle Band to help fix some math and fix some matchups. Overall, Dragapult EX, pretty straightforward. It's just basically imagine the standard format version of Dragapult, but with much older cards and extremely scarily consistent. That's Dragapult EX and Eternal. In contrast, Articuno Lock is a little bit more complicated and has quite a few more moving pieces, but once they're set up, once they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, it can be quite a menace of its own. Articuno's main attack is that Wild Freeze attack that does 70 damage and then does 50 damage to Articuno, but instantly paralyzes your opponent's active Pokemon. Now, normally this would be a bit of a problem because your Articuno would be getting knocked out and wouldn't be able to do what it needs to do to continue locking your opponent. However, you'll notice the inclusion of the tool card Protection Cube that says prevent all damage done to the Pokemon this card is attached to by attacks it uses, which means that Articuno is no longer going to be taking that 50 damage if Protection Cube is on it, which makes it so that it can just keep attacking over and over and over again without knocking itself out, which is pretty good. However, you're thinking, well, eventually I'm going to knock out my opponent's active Pokemon and it won't be sunlocked anymore and I won't be able to just keep attacking and keep them from attacking me back. Well, that is where you would be wrong because thanks to Dusknoir and its Sinister Hand ability, which reads, as often as you like during your turn, you may move 1 damage counter from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another of your opponent's Pokemon. You are able to move the damage counters off of your opponent's active Pokemon that is paralyzed and spread them all over your opponent's bench Pokemon, making it so that eventually you can just knock out all of your opponent's Pokemon with a good Sinister Hand or two and take many prize cards all at once. So you're going to lock your opponent out of access to being able to attack you, and as if that weren't enough, you're also running Vileplume, both the Undaunted Vileplume and the Vileplume from Ancient Origins, both of which item lock your opponent, which means they can't even use cards like Switch or Escape Rope to get out of the paralysis, making it even harder for them to escape from Articuno's grip. And the last card of special note here is going to be the Dusknoir from Vivid Voltage, which has the Spectral Breach ability. That ability is, of course, very much Temple of Sinnoh as an ability. It says all special energy attached to Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's, provide colorless energy and have no other effect. So this means cards like that Double Dragon Energy we saw in the game, they suddenly get shut off and only provide a single colorless energy, which in most situations is really bad for decks that are reliant on that special energy. Anyway, that is all for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll see you again in the next video.